going to be the first of 3 videos over the homework assignment that will be called 9.2 and 9.3. Each of these deals with absolute value, the first video will be absolute value with equations. And then the next 2 will be absolute value with inequalities. And I do want to remind you that the notation for absolute value is 2 vertical lines. And when you take the absolute value of a positive number, you get that number. It means its value without a sign. And if you take the absolute value of a negative number, you get the positive quantity. And if you take the absolute value of 0, you get 0. So it is important to recognize that whether I take the absolute value of negative 3 to get 3, or the absolute value of positive 3 to get 3, they're the same. Whether I take the absolute value of a negative or a positive, I get that positive quantity. So let's look at equations with x in absolute, and I'm going to abbreviate it, value. If I have the absolute value of x is equal to some kind of positive number, let me say 4, then it is true that x could be 4, and that would be a solution because the absolute value of 4 is 4, or let me or let me stop this for a minute. Or x could be negative 4. Either of those would make the original statement true. The solution set in set notation is 4 and negative 4. It does not at all matter what order you put them. All right. Now, let me just mention that if you have absolute value of x equal to 0, then in this case you have only one solution. The only number who has an absolute value of as 0 is 0 itself, so x equals 0. In my math lab, they'll have the solution set braces for you, and you will just enter 0 in a problem such as that. Finally, if you have absolute value of x equal to any negative quantity, then you have no solution. There is nothing you could put in the place of x that would have an absolute value that is negative. That's impossible. So let's take a look at our problems in the homework. And before you use this concept of looking at the positive and the negative, and you can certainly do it in any order you want, remember, first step is isolate the absolute value. That way, that way you will know whether you have, if it's equal to a positive, you're going to get 2 answers. If it's equal to 0, you're going to get a single answer. If it's equal to a negative, you'll have no solution. So the first thing you're going to want to do is isolate the absolute value. Number 1, it says to solve absolute value of x is equal to 1. Because it's isolated and it's equal to 1, then I know x is equal to -1 or x is equal to +1. -1, +1, those are the solutions. I've said it, I think, already, but it's important to note that there is no particular order that you need to do those. I think when I did it earlier, I had the positive first. It does not matter. Number 2, it asks you to solve absolute value of 2x minus 1 is equal to 3. The absolute value is isolated. It's equal to a positive. So I know that what I have inside the absolute value, 2x minus 1, is either positive 3 or 2x minus 1 is negative 3. And see, I've done them opposite. Last time I put the negative first. I think I should be more consistent. So let me start some consistency here. It is negative 3 or positive 3. So from now on, I'm going to do the negative first. All right, solve this equation. Add 1, add 1. I have 2x is equal to -2. Divide by 2. X is -1. Or add 1, add 1. 2x is 4. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X is 2. My solution set is -1 and 2. Those are the two different values that could make that equation true. Number 3, it says to solve absolute value of x plus 2 is equal to 14. All right, this absolute value is not isolated yet. So I need to subtract 2 before I can consider what's going on. I have the absolute value of x is equal to 12. Because it's equal to a positive, I can say that x is equal to -12 or x is equal to +12. I don't have any more work to do. My solutions are -12 and +12. Let's look at number 4. Remember, if I move too quickly and you want to see a page longer, you can just pause your video. It asks you to solve absolute value 4n plus 1, close absolute value, plus 9 is equal to 7. I need to isolate, get the absolute value by itself, so I'll subtract 9 from both sides. I have the absolute value of 4n plus 1 is equal to -2. I can stop. Because an absolute value cannot equal a negative, I have no solution, which sometimes is indicated with the set brackets with braces with nothing in them, or indicated with this symbol. I believe you will simply pick an option that says no solution. Let's look at number 5. We're supposed to solve absolute value 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, the absolute value is isolated. It's equal to 0. I only have one solution when it's equal to 0. 3x minus 2, whatever's inside, must be equal to 0. So add 2 to both sides. 3x is equal to 2. Divide by 3. And x is the fraction 2/3. My solution is 2/3. So as a really quick review, if the absolute value of some expression is equal to a positive, then you set this expression, whatever it is, equal to the negative. You set this expression equal to the positive. and you get 2 answers. If instead, that's one thing that might happen, if instead you have an absolute value of an expression equal to 0, then you set this expression equal to 0 and you get 1 answer. And finally, if you have the absolute value of any expression equal to a negative, you stop because you have no solution. So you might want to make sure that you have those 3 items written down. Okay, that will take you through the first 5 questions of that assignment.